Hey everyone, M1 Shadow here. Today we're going to be discussing our gun rights. This is the first of a new series I'm starting with my channel. I am still going to be doing the other videos that I did. However, every now and then I'm going to have a discussion series where I'm going to discuss something different. And today we're going to be discussing firearms. Okay, I'm just going to give you my reasonings of why they should never be taken, that right should never be taken away from anyone. There's too much negative press for people who don't really know much about firearms saying, oh, guns are bad, get rid of them. I have no tolerance for that, but anyway, I'm actually going to give some real facts of why our firearms should never be taken from us and why they're not as bad as the press makes them out to be. Let's start off. Number one, that is our Second Amendment right. Well, that's very important to me. Maybe it's not important. Some people think, oh, well, let's abolish the Second Amendment. No, absolutely not, okay? Many brave men and women have fought and died for that right, to protect that right. That's very important to me, just as all our amendments. This is America. This is what our Constitution stands for. Another thing is people say, well, if you take guns off the streets, there won't be crime. Yeah, I never heard anything so stupid before. All right, drugs have been illegal forever. Are drugs, has that stopped drugs? No. So what makes anybody think that taking guns off the streets is going to prevent violence? It's not. It's gonna get a lot worse. Why? Think about it. If a criminal is going to come into your house, is he going to come into someone's house who he knows has a gun, is ready to defend himself? No, he's going to be less likely to evade. However, if he knows that somebody has, is unarmed, is defenseless, what's going to stop them from going in there? Again, the criminal's always going to have the gun, okay? Another thing, humans are resourceful, okay? We all know that. Our ancestors were taking down big, saber-toothed tigers and all big animals without guns. Guns weren't even thought of back then. They were taking down mammoths with spears. Why am I telling you that? Because, again, it just goes to show an animal that's, a billion times stronger than any human being, and we took it. Human beings are the most dominant species on the planet Earth. Okay, so we know how to make a resource of anything. If it's not a gun, they could stamp somebody with a screwdriver. So what does that mean? We start banning screwdrivers too? And then you get the people who have said, oh, well, you can't go into a large crowd and take multiple targets out with a screwdriver. No, you're right. You can't. However, you could take a car and drive into a large crowd of people and take them out. So does that mean we start banning cars? People got to really screw their heads on right and, stop listening to the media and actually use your brain and think about this stuff. Okay, and what I'm saying right now is not even anything that's, is really anything science. It's just, this is common sense that I don't see how anybody would not know or figure out. So another thing people get me too is when you get these people who say, well, we should get rid of guns that are automatic or semi-automatic, and civilians should not have access to them. Why? Why is that? If that's all right, a gun is a gun. Okay, there are a lot of hunting rifles out there that could do just as much damage, if not more, than a gun that's labeled assault, number one. Number two, when the Second Amendment was done, there was no such thing as assault rifles or anything like that. The people and the people in power both had the same exact guns. There was no such thing as, well, one had more. I feel that a law-abiding citizen who is not breaking the law, is doing everything within his rights, should be allowed to have whatever firearm he chooses. It's plain and simple. Okay? I also get a kick out of, too, when you get people that say, they start throwing statistics. Well, you know how many gun deaths a year? Okay, let's talk statistics. How many people a year die from car crashes? a lot more than people who die from firearm accidents. So does that mean we start banning cars? Really think about that. Okay? It's stupid to say, oh, well, you ban guns because, there's been accidents. Yeah, there's more car accidents a year. I don't think banning cars would be the solution. Okay? Alcohol. Look how many drunk driving accidents there are a year. Now, see, here's what gets me too. This is where I get a kick out of people's priorities. The same people that will sit here and say, oh, guns are bad, guns are bad. Those are the same people that get in their cars and probably do like 80, 90 miles per hour down the highway. Okay, what if we had a limit? Because you know what? As far as I know, there's nowhere in the country where you're allowed to go over 70, 75 miles per hour. What would happen if we put a ban on cars going over 70, 75 miles per hour? Where like there was actually a restrictor put on the card. All of a sudden, those same people that were crying, oh, guns are bad, those same people would start freaking out and crying, oh, I want a car that does. Then all of a sudden, their rights, then they would start throwing their rights. See what I mean? Those people, they kind of piss me off because they only bring up their rights when it's convenient for them. And again, I'm not saying that we should put limiters, speed limiters on cars. Not at all. I am not saying that. However, I respect your right. If I'm going to respect your right to have a car that does 120, even if you don't need to do that, that's fine. You have to make the decision not to drive it that fast and not be an idiot. Okay? At the same time, respect my right to own a firearm and be able to make the right decisions on how to use it and what to do with it. Now, I hope everyone understands what I was getting at. I do thank you for tuning in and listening.